Welcome back. More and more toy companies are jumping on board the maker movement. The new series of toys offer hints, but not instructions, leaving children free to decide what to build or what to do. Deseret News reporter Lois Collins has been following this movement. All right, Lois, tell us more about this, how the whole thing began.
Well, the formal movement started with a magazine that sort of celebrated innovation and creativity and not being constrained in what it is you want to create. So you could be sewing something without a pattern. You could be using a 3D printer to create something. It doesn't matter what form your making takes. The point is to unleash your imagination, your particular set of skills, your individual tools, and make what you want.
Because a lot of us may feel lost without having those instructions, and this promotes creativity is what it sounds like.
Great creativity. For instance, one of the women who, with a partner, came up with a toy called Ruminate. She got started because she asked for a Barbie doll, and her dad said, I think you should try making your own toys. So he gave her a saw instead. It's that whole thing about creating robots or creating cement canoes and seeing if you can make them float. And it's a great way to give do-it-yourself a boost, but it's also a great way to look at your basic science and your basic math and all of those skills and see how you can take everything you've got in your personal toolbox and make something great that maybe nobody else ever made.
Does it seem like kids are grasping onto this, or do maybe sometimes they feel like, I don't know what to do with all this stuff or how to create something that I would like?
There are maker fairs all over the country now that literally you can go to these things and somebody may have a pile of pom-poms and cloth and electrodes and all sorts of weird things, and you figure out what you want to make with them. Or you can go over to an exhibit of 3D printers, and some of them bake sugar confectionaries and some of them make plastic models. There are open labs now being held all over the country where you just show up and there are 10 things to choose from, and these kids get to look and see what they want to do, and they may mix the stuff from the labs, but the whole thing is just about doing.
What are and what are these kids taking away from the experience? I mean, is it, I'd imagine, I would hope some great things from it. All of a sudden your mind is thinking a little bit differently. Is that the case?
I think maybe this, and this is my theory, but I think it may be sort of the modern version of playing outside. When I was a kid, we all went outside and found things to do.
Sure.
And you used the sticks in the gutter and you kicked the rock and you did whatever. And so many parents now don't let kids go outside and just roam free. So I think this is a different kind of roaming free, and kids need to roam free. So this is part of what Maker is all about, is just exploring and doing and enjoying life.
All right, so hackers are also part of the maker world, but most people view hackers negatively, right?
We're not talking computer hackers
here.
Right,
okay. So why is the maker movement trying to take that word back?
Well, the word belonged to them originally. You used to hack a solution. You remember the TV show MacGyver?
Oh, yeah.
Where he'd take, a piece of gum and a stick and
save the world.
Yeah, exactly. So he was a hacker. He hacked a solution, and what they're saying is there's a group called Curiosity Hacked. It's an organization, and we hack solutions. We hack toys. We want to figure out how to make this work. We don't have the kit in front of us. We don't have the pattern in front of us, but we have this, and we have that, and we can do it. That's hacking in its best form.
All right. Lois Collins for us this morning. Lois, thank you so much. Very insightful. Appreciate that. All right, well, over the years, there's been a lot made of the rivalry between BYU and the University of Utah. Some bleed blue, others have crimson running through their veins. Well, I found a touching story of a Cougar and a Ute brought together by one heart.
Sometimes in life, there are moments when the background noise of this everyday world.
Why, every time I hear that train,
find a way of bringing a painful reality.
It just makes me feel lonely.
Directly into the forefront.
My life stopped. It ended, you know what I mean? It came to a halt, and this train kept on going like nothing had happened.
Life moves on. And for Caroline Longshore, that train has become a trivial yet agonizing reminder that her husband is gone.
When I hear that train every night, it's just like, doesn't it know what I lost? Doesn't the people know who are on that train? Shouldn't they stop too?
A sad day for BYU football fans.
Former offensive lineman Nick Longshore died yesterday
after an ATV crash hospitalized him last week.
6'5" and pushing 300 pounds, a man like Nick Longshore seems almost indestructible. An offensive lineman at BYU, number 72, had Cougar blood pumping through those veins. Arms that could knock you down, but often used to pick people up. And that smile?
Oh, he was so kind. You know, the kindest person you'd ever meet.
Oh, he had a smile you could probably see from the cheap seats.
Every time he worked really hard, you could tell when he was proud of himself. It was from that smile.
On their wedding day, Nick had that smile, the same smile he wore when Caroline first became pregnant. But the lines filling that happy face would soon fade. On November 13, 2012, their baby boy was stillborn.
You feel extremely guilty when you lose a child, like you couldn't do anything, And I felt like I had taken something from Nick that he was entitled to. His son was gone.
It's not often new parents leave the hospital without a baby in their arms. But for Caroline, the emptiness she felt at that moment,
losing a son and now my husband, just doesn't seem real.
Had suddenly become more hollow.
It's not a coincidence that Nick's accident was on the 1-year anniversary of our son. Everything is for a reason. A
reason that within time would be revealed. Flashback 45 years, it was 1969. And the University of Utah had a pretty good basketball team with one of the school's great all-around players in Kenny Gardner. 6'5", 200 some odd pounds, and doing the job on both ends of the court. Couple of things now you should know about Gardner. First off,
I wanted to beat them hard every time I played them.
He is not a big fan of BYU.
We had no sympathy. They were our bitter rivals.
And number two, he had a heart that just would not quit. Or at least that's what he thought. 4 decades later, and that Utah blood,
so I was starting to get weaker,
was barely pumping.
They said, "You're our patient. You're our candidate. You have bad heart failure. You need a new heart." They label each picture.
There were more than 50 people on the transplant list ahead of Gardner. The blood type had to match, and the heart, well, it had to be a big one.
I can't get a 5 1 inch, 105-pound woman's heart. It just won't work because I'm 6'5". It's got to get all the way from there to there. Has to be the same size.
Now, it should be noted, only about 3% of the population has the frame of Kenny Gardner, meaning the wait time alone could be the end. But on November 22nd,
the phone rings. They say, it's a go.
This man on the doorstep of death was about to get his chance at a new life. The transplant, a success.
So I lay my head down the first night, and it's like, boom, boom. Really strong.
Kenny Gardner had a new heart. What he did not know,
yeah, I knew he was a donor,
is who it once belonged to.
I didn't want it to go somebody who wasn't grateful in the first place, somebody who just didn't care, who didn't understand what they had.
It is not uncommon for the family of a donor to never know who the recipient is. But in a strange twist of events,
she said, "I know who has Nick's heart."
Do you mind if I put you on speakerphone?
Both sets of families,
and I was like, what are you talking about?
How do you know I'm the recipient?
Managed to figure things out.
I think it's a Mother's Day gift from Nick.
We know you're the recipient. So.
And just like that, the decision was made.
Just walked around the beach.
Caroline had not felt the beat of her husband's heart since he had passed. But on that day, there was no doubt those two hearts were reunited.
Here, now feel this beat. Oh.
He said, feel that beat right there. It was surreal.
Could you feel the beat?
Yeah, pounding.
She looks up at me and says, that was just like I was hugging Nick.
Sometimes in life, there are moments when the background noises remind us that life moves on. It has for Ken, it will for Caroline, and it certainly does.
Can you wake up for us? I smile.
For this 2-month-old baby girl. Sad reality is she will never know the feeling of being held in the arms of her own father. But because of his gift,
holding close to me, listening to her father's heart beat in my chest, it's amazing.
She will always have the chance to be close to his heart.
I want Hannah to see what Nick gave somebody. And I want her to know what it means to give somebody something special like that, you know?
Ken calls his new heart a miraculous gift, so in hopes of giving back, he founded the Hearts for Hearts Foundation to raise awareness for organ donation and encourage more people to become donors. Foundation has also created a college scholarship fund for the surviving family of organ donors, hoping to give baby Hannah and others just like her a secondary education. All right, that does it for us on this week's edition of the Deseret News National Edition. I'm Mike Hedrick. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.